Hello everybody. In this video we are going to discuss about the different scheduling algorithms. Before seeing with the different scheduling algorithms, let me brief you about what exactly you mean by scheduling and why do we need this. Okay, so let us start. As we know that whatever the process or the job are coming for execution, they are in the ready queue. Now it's the job of the scheduling algorithm to decide which process in the ready queue is going to get the CPU for execution purpose. Okay, now the different type of scheduling algorithms can be divided into two categories. The first category is preemptive scheduling algorithms and second one is non-preemptive scheduling algorithms. As far as the preemptive scheduling algorithms are concerned, here whatever CPU allocation is done, okay, for the different job or the process, it can be taken away during the running, okay, or during the execution. Fine. Similarly, when we talk about the non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, here once the CPU is allocated to certain process, we are not allowed to take it away from that process until the process or the job is completed. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the scheduling algorithm. As I have told you, we are having different scheduling algorithms. Let us focus now on the first come first serve scheduling algorithm, or in short we call it as FCFS scheduling. Okay, so as the name itself indicate here, this algorithm is implemented by using the concept of first in first out queue. That means whichever process is entering the ready queue first, it is going to get the processor first. Okay, so this FCFS is the simplest scheduling algorithm and it is basically a non-preemptive scheduling algorithm, because it is going, each and every process is going to get the CPU until and unless it is finishing with the execution. Fine. So let us start this concept with the help of the diagram to understand the concept in much better way. So imagine this is a queue where we are having the different ends like front end, rear end here, wherein we are going to keep the processes. Okay, so if you talk about the first come first serve scheduling algorithm, imagine that this is the queue in which we are having process P1, P2 and P3. Okay, as we know that this algorithm is non-preemptive in nature. Okay, so process P1 arrived first, so it is going to get the CPU first, and until and unless it is getting executed, the CPU is not allocated to any other process. So that means the CPU is dedicated to one particular process for the time required for it to be completed, followed by P2 and P3. Okay, so now for much precise understanding, let us take one example. So here I am going to consider a specific set of processes arriving at time 0. Okay, and here we are going to consider the burst time in the milliseconds. As far as the burst time is concerned, it is nothing but the time taken by the CPU to execute the process. Okay, and here we are imagining that the processes arrived in a particular order of 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let us have a look at the set of processes. So this is the set of process. As you can see, we are having two columns. One column is indicating the different processes like P1, P2 and P3, and the another column is showing you the burst time. That means it is the time required by the process to complete its execution. Fine. So to show the first come first serve algorithm, the first thing is to draw the Gantt chart. Okay, here we are going to show you, if we are applying the first come first serve scheduling algorithm, how exactly the different processes are going to get executed. Okay, and the total time required. Let us see now. because all the processes arrived at time 0 and P1 is going to get the processor first or get the CPU first. So for our reference here also I am taking the set of processes what we have considered. So if we wanted to draw the Gantt chart, we are getting, the process P1 is getting the CPU first. So this will be the Gantt chart. At time 0, process P1 is arriving. That means it is getting the CPU first. And because its burst time is 20, so till 20th millisecond, process P1 is getting executed. Okay. Followed by P2. Now at 20th millisecond, P2 will get the process, the CPU. Okay, as P1 has finished with the execution, and because its burst time is 4, so till 24th millisecond, process P2 is getting executed. Okay, then once it has completed with the execution, the third process P3 is getting the CPU, and the time required for P3 to get executed is 3. So 24 plus 3, it is 27. Okay, so all the three processes will require total 27 milliseconds to complete the execution of all the three jobs. Okay, so this is about the Gantt chart. Now, only drawing the Gantt chart is not done. Let us calculate the waiting time, turnaround time also. So let us see that. The first thing what we are going to calculate here is the average waiting time. So here we are going to calculate what is the amount of time each and every process waited. Okay. So if you see the formula for calculating average waiting time, it will be starting time minus the arrival time. Please do remember all the three jobs arrived at the same time. Okay, that is time 0. Okay, so it will be starting time minus arrival time. Okay, so let us see. Waiting time for P1 is 0 because as soon as P1 arrived, it got the CPU. So P1 did not wait for the allocation of CPU to it. So that's why waiting time for P1 will be 0. Okay. Then the next thing is waiting time for P2. Okay. So though P2 arrived at time 0, it started its execution at 20th millisecond. That's why the starting time is nothing but the starting of execution for the process, which is 20th millisecond minus the arrival time is 0. So P2 waited for 20 milliseconds. Therefore, the waiting time for P2 will be 20. Fine. Then the next one. The waiting time for P3, as you can see, the P3 started getting executed at 24th millisecond, and as I've told you, all the three processes arrived at the same time, that is 0. So I am here 24 minus 0. I am saying the waiting time for P3 is 24 milliseconds. Okay, so now after finding the waiting time for all the three processes, if we calculate the average waiting time, it is nothing but 0 plus 20 plus 24, which are the waiting time for the process P1, P2 and P3. Because we are finding the average, I am going to divide it by 3 as we are having three processes. So the average waiting time is 14.6 milliseconds. Okay, this is the average waiting time for the processes to get executed. Fine. Next. Now here we are going to talk about the average turnaround time. Now before calculating with the average turnaround time, let me define you what exactly this is. The average turnaround time is the time interval from the time of submission of the process to the time of completion. Okay, that means it is the total time taken by the process to execute. Okay, so let us see. If you want to define it in the form of formula, it will be finish time minus the arrival time. So let us check with the turnaround time for all the processes. So the turnaround time for process P1 is 20, as it is taking 20 milliseconds to finish the execution. P2 is taking the 24 milliseconds. 24 milliseconds because the finish time is 24th millisecond minus the arrival time was 0. Fine. Similarly, the turnaround time for P3 will be 27 because P3 is finishing at 27th millisecond and it arrived at time 0. Okay. So, the average turnaround time will be adding of all these three turnaround time divided by 3. So overall we are getting the average turnaround time is 23.6 milliseconds. Okay. So this is time taken by the process to finish execution. Fine. Then the next one. Here we are going to talk about the average response time. Response time is nothing but the time of the submission of the request for processing and the time at which the process got the CPU. Okay, so the response time will be, the formula can be like first response minus the arrival time. Okay, so as the Gantt chart is here for our reference, so let us calculate the response time for process P1. So as soon as process P1 arrived, it got the CPU. So the response time was 0. That means it did not waited for any 0 milliseconds also. Okay, so immediately it got the CPU. So immediately there was a response. That's why we will say response time for P1 is 0. Then the response time for P2 is 20 because the first response, that means P2 process got the CPU at 20th millisecond. Okay, that's why the response time is 20. Similarly, the response time for P3 is 24. Okay, so if we calculate the average response time, it will be addition of all the three response times P1, P2, P3 divided by 3, as we are having only 3 processes. So the response time is 14.6 milliseconds. Okay. So as you can see in this first come first serve algorithm, the waiting time and response time is same, that is 14.6 milliseconds, because it is a non-preemptive scheduling. Okay, so one more variation you can try out in this one, as I have taken the order of this process execution as P1, P2, P3. If you change the order, like if the process arrive in order of P3, P2, P1, then the average waiting time, turnaround time and response time will be different. Okay.